Now, can you use vibrato too much? 100%. Of course you can. I mean, Amanda Seyfried was notorious for that in her role in Les Mis. I mean, she just sounded like a yodeling dying goat every single time she sang something. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Marc Daniel Patrick. Thank you so much for joining me on here. I feel like it's been a minute since we've done any theater reactions on here, and I thought since Ben Platt is coming back to Broadway for the first time since 2017, this would be a great opportunity to get some theater back onto this page. I also wanted to touch on, we looked at Ben Platt performing last month. He did a cover of She Used to Be Mine on one of his music tours. And so many people flooded the comments with various comments about his voice. So I thought I would touch on more of those about what I think about his voice and how it serves him in different songs that he sings. So I'm really excited to react to this one today from the musical Parade. This is Ben Platt and Michaela Diamond performing This Is Not Over Yet.
You don't know what any of this means? It means cancel all your parties. Forget your big parade. It means the crowds will not be cheering, so despite what you've been hearing, you can lay down your spade. It means my mother can stop crying. My rabbi's eulogy can wait. It means that Dorsey can stop beaming and my cousin can stop dreaming of his portion of my estate. It means no, this isn't over. Hell, it's just begun. Hail the resurrection of the South's least favorite son. It means I made a vow for better. Two is better than one. It means the journey ahead might get shorter. I might reach the end of my rope, but suddenly loud as a mortar, there is hope. Finally, yes, Leo, there is hope. This isn't over. We are finally on the way. A man who isn't guilty doesn't have to walk the plank. It means the gallows still are vacant, and we've got my wife to thank. It means you shouldn't underestimate Lucille and Leo Frank, 'cause this is not over yet.
So good. I love Jason Robert Brown. His music is just so fantastic. If you're not familiar with him, he wrote 13, the musical. Last 5 Years is what he's maybe most known for, just because they made a film of that one with Anna Kendrick, so maybe a lot of people recognize his name from that. He's so great, and this was actually, I believe, his first Broadway production that he ever wrote for. Stephen Sondheim was supposed to write the music for this one, but eventually turned it down, and so our good old JRB took it over. And yeah, his stuff is just so great. I need to get into a lot more of his stuff on this page for sure. Okay, there's definitely a couple comments I want to make, so let's go back to the beginning and watch it again.
You don't know what any of this means? It means cancel all your parties. Forget your big parade.
I love even that opening. It sounds so theatrical, that the orchestra behind him, and it's so a juxtaposition from the '98 version, which originally of Parade, which originally starred Brett Carver, good Canadian actor who sadly left us too early in 2020. But you know, it sounds just so much more theatrical. Like, it's just what they've done. Orchestration has come so far. That's not what this channel's about, but it's just that's the first thing that hits me, is it just sounds so different than what the original '98 cast recording had.
It means the crowds will not be cheering, so despite what you've been hearing, you can lay down your spade. It means my mother can stop crying. My rabbi's eulogy can wait.
The editing in this video just annoys the hell out of me. There's no continuity whatsoever, but it's just a short little preview of Ben Platt returning to Broadway. Okay, so the musical Parade, in case you're not familiar, just quickly here, it's the story of a Jewish American, Leo Frank, who's wrongly convicted we presume, wrongly convicted of murder in 1913, as he was the superintendent of a pencil factory, I believe it was. And so then a year later, the governor of Georgia agrees to open up the case. So he was originally sentenced to hang to death. The governor of Georgia agrees to open the case again to look at it, and then and so now this is where this song comes in the story. It's, I believe, about midway through the second act. So now there's all this optimism around him and his wife, thinking, okay, finally justice is going to prevail. We're finally going to get out of this. And that's kind of what leads our character Leo here into singing this song.
It means that Dorsey can stop beaming and my cousin can stop dreaming of his portion of my estate.
Okay, so I'll get to his voice in a minute. Maybe towards the end we'll talk more about his voice. Let's start first with the character development and acting. I don't know where he is in the rehearsal process, but anytime Ben Platt steps up to sing, you see Evan Hansen. That's just, I cannot get that out of my head. He is so Evan through and through everything he does, which made him so perfect for that role and made it such an iconic role that really jump-started his whole career. That's fine. But what now bothers me is that you never see Ben disappearing into anything. And so I think I said it at the beginning of the video that I was watching of his She Used to Be Mine video that I commented on. I said at the beginning that he disappoints me 50% of the time because of this, not necessarily his voice. I absolutely love his voice personally, but him and just his acting and the way he approaches roles. It's so Evan. All of it is Evan Hansen, which annoys me for two reasons. Because one, I want to see him disappear into another role, and two, it kind of takes his character of Evan kind of down a notch for me, because it's just, well, that's just him. Those are the tropes. Those are the things he always has. And kind of, it wasn't character building into Evan. It's kind of, that's just Ben Platt up on stage. But I'm really waiting for the day that I see something different from Ben, where I see him disappear into another character, where you kind of think like, God, that's Ben Platt, and you kind of see a little bit of a range that he can actually tap into something else, and that's just what I see so much, especially.
It means no, this isn't over. Hell, it's just begun. Hail the resurrection of the South's least favorite son. It means I made a vow for better. Two is better than one. Means the journey ahead might get shorter. I might reach the end of my rope.
So Michaela is going to come in here in a second, but I just hate the fact, and I hate to be brutally honest about it, but like her up there in that window, aside from the shitty editing, her up there in that window upstaged him 1,000%, and he's been on screen for, over a minute and a half. You can tell when someone hits the screen that they're just in it, that they know what their job is, that they belong there, that they've just got something in them. Ben has none of that, and she just appears in a window, and all of a sudden I'm just so drawn to her, more so than I've ever been drawn to Ben Platt, ever watching him perform.
But suddenly loud as a mortar, there is hope. Finally, yes, Leo, there is hope. This isn't over. We are finally on the way. Million things that you and I can do. I will speak for you, Leo. The things I see in you.
All right, just before they get to the end here, let's talk about his voice a bit. So a lot of people, especially in the last video of She Used to Be Mine, his cover of that, a lot of people in the comments of that video really came after his vibrato and how annoying it is, and how they said it shows a lack of control in the voice. I couldn't disagree more with that. I think vibrato is a vocal technique that needs to be really trained and is very intentional when someone uses it. So I think... Now, can you use vibrato too much? 100%. Of course you can. I mean, Amanda Seyfried was notorious for that in her role in Les Mis. I mean, she just sounded like a yodeling dying goat every single time she sang something. And that is a case of where maybe she's leaning on her vibrato a little bit too much. So I think there are times when you can have a held out elongated note, which is fine, that's wide open and clean, and then there are times when you could add vibrato to add a little bit more texture to it. So maybe going back and forth between the two is maybe a lane he should start to explore. I mean, hell, it's Ben Platt. I mean, he's cast in these roles for a reason, and it's not his acting, as we've discussed. It is 100% because of that voice. There are enough people in the world who absolutely love what he does with his vibrato included, that he's cast in something so big like this, and a huge return to Broadway. So, I mean, I think it's a preference thing. Obviously, it really comes down to, I know it's tough to listen to. And in his cover of She Used to Be Mine, it made it maybe a little bit worse because he's trying to sing that more in a female key, which causes him to get up to the upper parts of his range. When you start to add more vibrato, especially at the top end of your range, you're really doing that to keep a note in pitch. And that's not for a lack of control. That's just where your range allows you to hit. And a lot of times a wide open note that high up in your range is just going to sound squeaky and sound deflated, and it could sound really weak. So adding a vibrato to it is a great technique to round out the note and make it sound a little bit more pleasant. So I'd say that's maybe just the smallest knock on his voice, is that overuse of a vibrato a little bit too much. But it is in no way signs of a lack of control in a singer's voice. I do not agree with at all.
It means a man who isn't guilty doesn't have to walk the plank. It means the gallows still are vacant, and we've got my wife to thank. It means you shouldn't underestimate Lucille and Leo Frank, 'cause this is not over yet.
Such a good number. There's a great rehearsal video of them performing this as well. I really wanted to use that one, but you can't hear him as well over top of Jason Robert Brown just absolutely hammering down on the piano. So I had to go with this one, which is recorded, but they still sound pretty spot on to what they would sound live as well. That Michaela Diamond, I'm telling you, I really want to see her in a lot more, because I'm so drawn to her, just her presence on screen here, and I feel like she'd be the same on stage as well. It'd be so good. If you don't know much about it and you're planning on going to see it, don't expect the most comfortable, beautiful ending imaginable. It's a very true story of this man's life, and unfortunately what he went through. Let me know what you guys thought about it in those comments below, and definitely what you'd like to see in the future. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. You could also join me at my Patreon page, and I'm Marc Daniel Patrick, and we'll see you next time.